What's up, George?
We are doing a lot of reviews today, aren't we?
Number two today. What are we reviewing this time?
This time we're doing Cyberfrog, Warts and All, the complete 90s omnibus,
Mm-hmm.
and Unforgettable Tales Free. Excuse me, I said it wrong.
There you go. Because we both backed those two things.
Correct. I just got the base edition of the omnibus and the add-on Unforgettable Tales 3. I didn't get the executive box.
Yeah, I did not either, and I will talk about why and later. But yeah, so we both backed the exact same thing this time.
hmm
Okay. How are we going to grade this, George? This
Well,
is a
we
little bit different.
usually do story, art, and quality, but there is 400 plus pages of story in this book. It's almost too much because we could go over issue by issue and discuss it, and we could be here for hours. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to just summarize it and say content,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to have a second category called value and finish with book quality. So
Mm-hmm.
we're doing content, value, and then book quality.
Let's get into content, George. What did you think?
Well, this is an original reprint, as Ethan said, warts and all. So all of the original lettering, whatever mistakes may have been in there, printed as is from the originals back from the 1990s. In fact, some of these books were printed in black and white, and they are reprinted in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And then the coloring is the original coloring. So it's a unique idea which I've not seen before, which I really, really liked.
Mm-hmm.
So you are seeing Ethan at his very youngest, first starting out. I mean, I think he was 18, 19, 20 years old when some of these books were being made.
Right.
And you can see glimpses of it in certain pages, like, oh, yeah, I recognize the way this looks. Uh, but the art definitely changes throughout this book. Don't you
Mm-hmm.
agree?
I would agree. I would agree 100% with you. Yeah.
But the content is, I mean, there is just so much here to unpack. The characters actually change from how we know them now. So
Yeah.
Salamandroid's origins are very different. Cyberfrog's origins change within this book.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but overall, it just more content than you can even imagine just for a quick 20-minute review.
Right. Yeah. What I would say is, uh, adding to the content, I really appreciated the little notes that
hmm
Ethan included before each book, and I actually like that, like the fan letters, like in the on the old books. You know how they used to do that in the
Yep.
'90s. Like those are all included. So when you read those, you can see the difference of Ethan now versus then through his thoughts and whatever. So I really appreciate that he would go in, write his thoughts now on a book, and then you can read his edge lord '90s take on things.
Well,
So
it's funny you mentioned the little notes beforehand because that was my favorite thing about the book, and I don't think I realized it was going to be there. And I always like talking to creators and getting the history on what their mindsets were when they were making certain issues that I loved. And it's kind of deflating when you talk to someone, on about a book that you loved, and they're like, I just kind of was just doing my job, and I don't really remember much. That is not the case with this. You could tell Ethan loved these stories
mhm.
because he remembers everything about them and gives you a lot of inside baseball on these issues, and it's really, I mean, it's just really nice to see.
Yeah, I would also say I found it very interesting that you know me, George. I love watching a progression of an artist, right?
hmm
And what Ethan does now is nowhere near what he did in the '90s. Of course, he's gotten better or whatever, but it really makes me appreciate Blood Honey
hmm
and hopefully Wreck Planet, hopefully, where you see the progression of an artist. And I believe right now, because we're lucky enough that he shares pages and I send them to you or whatever, I feel like he's at the top of his game right now. And to go back and read Warts and All, it makes me appreciate that fact even more, appreciate the years that he's put in at the drawing table. It's, so, but to go back to the point, there is a lot of content in here.
hmm
I liked it. I like that it's all the cyber. The complete collection,
He
right?
has everything in here. He has house ads in here. He has style guides for the toy. He
Hmm.
has the uncensored page. He has the
Yeah,
little tear sheets for you to reserve the book with your retailer. I mean, everything is in this book.
right. What was your favorite story out of here? Do you think, George?
My favorite story. I don't know why, but I like the little salamandroid ashcan story. One, I've never read it before, and two,
Hmm.
it was just so completely different from the salamandroid I know now. It really stuck with me.
Right.
How about you?
Reservoir. I think I liked Reservoir the best. So I thought it was a little more dark. I mean, they're all kind of dark.
Hmm.
I don't. I don't know why I like Reservoir so much, but
Hmm.
I guess it might have been the art. There's that splash page where he's holding up the head. Um, so I kind of liked Reservoir the best.
I would
So
have liked to have seen if he was going to call it Reservoir Frog for them like to go rob a bank or something, but it had nothing to do with the movie whatsoever.
no, it was just nine. There's so many '90s references, like Sinead O'Connor, Reservoir. I mean, they're all in this
Well,
book.
there's the Kurt Cobain
Yeah, there's
cover too.
the Pearl Jam. Yeah,
Yep.
there's so many '90s references in here. I think there might have been an Alanis Morissette reference too. I don't, but it just when you're reading it too, it's like, oh God, I used to talk like that, didn't I? Oh no,
This
like
the content is just unreal. Oh, I do want to
mhm.
mention there is an all new cover. So as much as we said it was a reprint, the wraparound cover is new. He merges two of his old covers that were drawn, I think, by Walt Simonson and Eric Larson, and makes it one wraparound, all of his own original art, which is absolutely stunning.
I would agree. I would agree. What would you give the content overall, George?
I'm giving it an A on this one.
Yep, I give it an A as well. Like I don't. The only way for me it would have been the A plus. I don't. What would you have liked? I guess George.
I don't know what's left. I mean, I know he had some sort of additional supplemental book in the executive. I don't know what could be left that was in that wasn't in this. I guess design concepts and stuff he had from maybe when he was younger. I don't know.
It would be really cool content wise if he could get all these new cyber frogs out to have both of those on the buses stacked by side.
To see
So
the
you could look
progression.
at so you could see the old stuff and the new stuff.
Hmm.
So, but
That's
yeah.
definitely a fun book. I'm definitely glad I got it.
Hmm. Uh,
And wait, before we get to the next category, do you want to talk about Unforgettable now, or
yeah,
mention
we
that?
could. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So I got Unforgettable Tales 3, and so did you.
Hmm.
I thought from, and we're just this isn't really content, but we'll just talk about it real quick.
Hmm.
It feels so much better
Hmm.
because the pages are lighter,
Hmm.
and as a Chromium book, I felt like the last two kind of were very stiff and whatever. This is one of the best examples of a floppy, not only in Comicsgate but in comics. Period.
Hmm.
The quality of this book. So big shout out to Ethan for Unforgettable Tales 3 for me. It's just the physical quality is just outstanding. So there you go. That's
Well,
what I
I
would say
like
about
that it wrapped up the story. So we had 1 and 2. We already backed that, and 2 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger.
it. Hmm.
And it was nice to see that story end. And now that story wasn't in um, Warts and All, was it? The
No,
Unforgettable Tales 3.
I don't think it was. No.
Okay, so maybe that's part of the other executive edition that we're talking about. But no, I appreciated the story and I appreciated the end. So if you have 1 and 2, it was nice to have issue number 3.
Right. I don't. I wonder if that was on purpose because I know there is Unforgettable Tales 4, and that's Creed versus Cyberfrog. But
Hmm.
yeah, I wonder. So I wonder if he put them out in that order, or like it just has to be happenstance or whatever, George. So
Not
that's
sure, but no, the overall, I'm giving it an A.
yeah. And that's just a side note. Like not everybody grabbed Unforgettable Tales,
Hmm.
and we understand. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because it's going to be 4 issues. I'm going to have them all four because
Exactly.
yeah. So there you go. All right,
So
let's
next
get
we're
into.
going to go to the value,
Mm-hmm,
correct?
mm-hmm.
So if you just back the base book and absolutely nothing else, forget about Unforgettable, forget about all the add-ons, it was $30 for a hardbound 400 plus page, black and white and color book with the dust jacket. It, I don't understand how it was even done. I really truly don't. It's the
It's
the, the
incredible.
the finest value I've gotten from any crowdfunding campaign ever.
Yeah, I would agree. This kind of book for $30, it's unheard of, George. I would say. So, uh, I
I,
mean,
I
I don't
can't
know
sing
what
the
else.
value praises of it enough. It's not a word you usually hear. Let's face it, we are trying to support independent creators. So I really don't know how this was even done. I don't expect it to be matched or exceeded. If you believe me, if it was great, but I cannot shout the praises of the value of this campaign enough.
I would even argue, how we had a review earlier. We were saying how I was saying how, hey, this is a love letter to whatever.
Hmm.
I would say that this omnibus that Ethan put out is a love letter to his fans, in essence. Like that's the kind of value you get for this
He,
book.
he did say it in his thank you page. He always thanks his family, his wife and kids first, and in this one he's thanking the fans first, and that meant a lot to me.
Right. And $30 for all this, I gotta feel like he really tried to take care of his fans on this book. And I was floored with the value. I give the value an A plus, George.
Yep, that's where I'm at with you.
Okay. All right. So now we go to the quality, George.
Yep, the quality of the book. Now, keep in mind, most omnibus books I see, they're typically oversized. This book was reprinted as a standard comic-sized book. Uh, Beautiful cover, like the texture of it, almost like frog-like skin
Mm-hmm.
with a gold foil inlay on it, and then a wraparound dust jacket as well. I would say it could not get much better than this, other than the sizing, which I don't know if he was limited due to the fact that I think some of the books that he was reprinting might have even been coming from Xerox copies of what he had. So he might have been limited in size itself. But the size doesn't bother me whatsoever as far as the omnibus book. It reads just like a comic. I mean, comics are meant to be this size.
I
So
like it that it is standard size because I can put it on my shelf with all my rest of my like my square bound book.
yeah,
Like I prefer it this way actually.
no,
So
I appreciate it too. There was little things I would have maybe liked to seen, like a little bookmark that was put in there, like like a cloth bookmark or something, with a book this large. But other than that, I mean, you really can't beat the quality on this book. I'm really impressed with it.
I am too. Now this is the first like collection that I bought through Comicsgate,
Hmm.
So for me, this is like the standard right now. There's nothing to compare against it. But as far as quality from an independent, it's independent.
Hmm.
I give it an A plus as well, dude. Like
I'm 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 giving it an A, but I don't think we're that far off.
no, no. Now I don't know what else because I know that Adam Lawson put out a hardback, but it wasn't a collection. There's been some
Hmm.
hardback books,
Hmm.
Vinny and who, but this is like the first of its kind for me to back,
Hmm.
and I'm just gonna start with an A plus, and maybe I'll come back and revisit it. I don't know, but there you go, George.
I am extraordinarily happy with this book. I want to talk about the quality of Unforgettable Tales 3
Hmm.
real fast. It did change from 1 and 2. 1 and 2, as you mentioned earlier, had those hard, like almost cardstock interiors. I don't know what the idea was there, but I feel as though with those books, those pages are kind of causing almost like creasing in the book.
Hmm.
Even though I think he did it to make them look nicer, it's almost, I wouldn't say damaging, but it's the condition isn't as nice. Whereas the quality of Unforgettable Tales 3 was exactly what I wanted to see.
Yes.
On top of that, and I know I'm in the minority when I say this, I prefer the foil covers to the chromium that everyone seems to love on his main campaigns.
I'm with you. I'd rather have foil as well.
The only issue I have, and I mentioned this on my write up with the splintering, was it looked like the back of my Unforgettable Tales 3 book had some scuffing on the back, which I don't think happened in transit. I think it was printed like that and then shipped to me like that.
Hmm.
I do have images of it up on the splintering. I never reached out to Ethan to get another copy. It seemed like he was short on supply anyway.
Hmm.
I would have picked it up in my local LCS if I saw it like that. But that was the only thing quality wise I could really nitpick about and say, yeah, I do see this.
Hmm.
But you didn't have that issue, correct? Yours was
No,
perfect.
I'm just thinking to myself right now that you have the worst luck because your books always come with some kind of ding or whatever, and mine always come perfect.
You
So
did once have the pinhole issue that I had
pinhole. How do you mean?
on someone shipped a pin and
Oh yeah,
and it pierced in your book.
yeah. No more pins, guys. No more pins. No.
I've gotten to the point where if I see a pin in the campaign, I just won't even back it.
Yeah, there's only one time I got a pin and it didn't damage anything, and it wasn't even anything I backed. It was just somebody who's being nice. So
No.
like, you know,
But no, overall, I can't complain about the quality of the books. I really liked the Unforgettable Tales 3 interior paper stock. I like the foil covers.
hmm
I hope people look at that and be like, oh, I'd like to make a book like this. Because that to me is a nice example of how a floppy should look.
yeah, this
If it's not gonna be square bound, I want to see it like that.
this is a gold standard. This floppy here, especially if you're going to do chromium. Now that's very particular that we don't like that, George. I mean, I
Mhm.
get that. Not, yeah, we may be in the minority, but if you're going to do chromium, this is a fine example.
Mhm.
So overall, what do we give Warts and All, George?
I gave it an A.
An A. Yeah, same thing with me. An A. Uh, Shout out to Ethan because I feel like this was incredible value.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's offered this kind of value, and especially in Comicsgate before. Like this might, you know, be the best value that you can get.
Mhm.
Well, you can't get any more. So I really appreciate it, and it's one of my favorite books. I would say I got a couple really this year that I've gotten. This is one of them that I just like having. I've flipped through it so many times already. So um, yeah, give it A. You give it an A. You got anything else?
Well, yeah. Well, are you glad you backed and would you back again?
Well, hell yeah, both.
Not only am I glad I backed, I almost feel like I can brag about it. For the number of thousands of people that backed this campaign, there seems to be quite a few of people that are trying to get it. Like I don't know if they missed the boat or what have you, but I'm really glad I reserved my copy and I'm really glad I have it.
Yeah, I'm not selling mine at that.
I mean, neither.
All right. The next review I think might be the Lucent. Maybe we'll see how it goes, George.
That
Um,
or Graveyard Shift.
yeah, it could be Graveyard Shift. I've already got mine, but you're waiting on yours.
Yeah,
So
I backed the Alfeche cover, so it might be a little while.
yeah. So we will talk to you guys later.
Later, everyone.